All right, and welcome into the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. It's the Week 14 Sunday night recap show coming to you live right here on the FP YouTube channel. It was a now or never type of affair for many managers with playoff hopes hanging in the balance on Sunday. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and after arguably the worst start I've had across all my leagues, looks like I'll be dancing in at least 6 out of 8 of them. So cheers to that. Also, cheers to my colleagues for once again checking in with us. Of course, that includes a man who's arguably the most educated man in the fantasy sports injury space. He's Dr. Deepak Chona. Doc, how are you doing as you await your Houston Texans to kick off in a little over an hour?
Yeah, I am good, man. We are looking ready to roll, and I can't wait. So good to see you guys.
Glad to hear it, man. How are the fantasy playoffs looking for you? You punch any tickets today, Deepak?
Yeah, well, locked in a bye in one league, and one league actually go through week 15 for regular season. So we're still kind of waiting on it. But yeah, it's going to be a rough last week of the year for that league.
That's for sure. Also back in action is a good pal of mine who once called 2 G5 teams making the college football playoff fan fiction. However, he was absolutely buzzing today as the Pittsburgh Steelers get a big win over the division rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. He's got big time Bogman. Boggs, how are you and how are the playoff hopes looking for you?
Great. I actually punched a bunch of tickets last week, so happy about that. Had a bye week and, not a real bye week, but set my lineup and be able to knock some people out of the playoffs. Unfortunately, I did drum out our friend Dredis in that league. She had to face me. I'm in first place, and she had to face me to get into the playoffs, and it's a super flex league. I think I ended up with the second most points, but also she had Tyrod Taylor. So who went down immediately and just wrecked her shot there. But good week for me. Good week for our Steelers as well, beating the Ratbirds in Baltimore. Love that. So, just a good, solid week here. But, I mean, Sunday, bloody Sunday. Good Lord. Lots of injuries. It's a war of attrition, and things are getting to guys right now.
It just makes sense, right? In a season where it seemed like there were so many injuries every single week, that week 14 do or die time comes down to some absolute grenades that went out there. We'll talk about Tyrod Taylor. He got negative fantasy points for a lot of managers, including your boy here. So very, very tricky time, but we're going to break it all down on the program. It is an absolutely packed one as well. We'll get into the injuries with Deepak, potential fantasy football impact moving forward. Then we'll also get to the top 5 fantasy storylines of the week, including the playoff trust-o-meter, who you can trust moving forward. We'll also take a trip to the panic meter, and then we'll round out the program with a rapid-fire Q&A. So send any questions you have, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. And before we jump in, a absolutely gigantic shout-out to everyone tuning in, either on the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel or the audio feed. We appreciate all the support throughout the regular season, and we hope our advice has helped you reach the playoffs. Be sure, if it has, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're trying to get to 300,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and we can only do that with your help. So, gentlemen, let's go ahead and get right into the injuries here, where Deepak, maybe the saddest one all season. Indianapolis Colts quarterback Daniel Jones, he suffered a non-contact injury. We are being told this is an Achilles injury. Does that mean it's torn, Deepak? And if so, when could we see Danny Dimes back next season?
Yeah, it most likely is torn. You can see on the video it does kind of snap on him, and he's obviously very frustrated after. The average on these is taken between 6 and 10 months. So we've seen Kirk Cousins come back around 9. Keep in mind that even though Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers both came back the next year, that first year the production did take a dip, and you usually see mobility dip. And then for a right-handed quarterback, like you saw with Cousins, a right-sided Achilles probably limits his push-off and therefore his throwing power. Now, with that all in mind, Dimes is younger than they were at the time of injury. He's only 28. So he's also more mobile and has a pretty big arm. So all that together, we would expect around 2 years post-injury, you'll start kind of regaining most of what he is now. But at the same time, next year, he probably comes back around week 1 or sometime shortly after, but maybe not exactly the guy we were looking at this year.
Okay. Boggs, this sucks, man. Not only was Daniel Jones really close to getting a big payday, the biggest in his career, but also the fact that the Colts were looking to set themselves up for a deep playoff run. That's kind of now shattered here. We now have to adjust expectations. Riley Leonard was the quarterback under center, former Duke Blue Devils quarterback, then transferred to Notre Dame for that sensational run to the College Football National Championship game last year. Boggs, what can we really expect from him and this entire Colts team if it is Leonard under center? Maybe they go outside looking for potential help as well?
I think, yeah, I mean, you have to bring somebody in if Anthony Richardson's not able to go. Now, I did read up a little bit on Anthony Richardson. They said he's been back. He's been lifting weights, which is big. But, Deepak and I discussed the eye surgery before the show here, and that's just really tough to gauge, right, Deepak?
Yeah, very tough to gauge. And you may remember Najee Harris with the eye injury kind of had us all guessing the whole way through. Kind of something similar I think you're going to see with Anthony Richardson. But to your point, they haven't really activated him. So there's no indication that just because Danny Dimes got injured right now, Anthony Richardson is about to jump back in.
Yeah, so it's probably Riley Leonard, and Riley Leonard, even in college, was a run-first threat. So That's why they drafted him, because they were expecting to go with Anthony Richardson as your starter. They wanted somebody mobile to mirror Anthony Richardson, so they drafted Riley Leonard. Ends up Daniel Jones, who is also very mobile, but not Anthony Richardson. It wins this job, gives them way more than they expected from this position. So it hurts everybody. It hurts JT a little bit. It hurts Pittman and Pierce and Warren. So it's a devastating blow to all the Colts right here, right heading into the playoffs right now.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I think we downgrade Michael Pittman Jr. significantly as well. Alec Pierce probably outside of starting territory now. And I think Tyler Warren, he goes from a plug-and-play top 5 tight end to still a tight end 1, right?
Matchups.
But yeah, I mean, you're still rolling him out there. He's been so good at every single week until this one. But it's tough. It's going to be tough to trust Colts. Of course, stay tuned this week for more Fantasy Pros content. I'm sure Joe and Debro Fitzy on the Waiver Wire show will break down some of what this means for any of those players, as well as all the ranking start shit shows we have later in the week as well. Deepak, another big injury here. Miami Dolphins running back Devon Achane. He exits with a rib injury. Is this broken ribs? This is maybe something else to Mike McDaniel's lead back, you think, Doc?
Yeah, I mean, the two most common things here are going to be either a broken rib or basically a bruise or contusion of the rib area. Okay. Now, obviously, the second is kind of the better of the two if you have to pick. If it were broken ribs, typically that would result in an average of about 2 weeks out. But with that being said, Mike McDaniel afterwards said he could have come back even this game as an emergency player if needed. And that kind of hints us against the broken ribs option. A contusion it tends to limit players' touches, skill position players specifically. With that being said, if he logs at least one full practice this coming week, we see in the data that kind of effect is pretty minimal or washes out for a player of his caliber. So we got to follow the practice reports. If he logs at least one full practice, I mean, either way, it's Devon Achane, so you're probably starting him regardless. Right. But with that being said, we're hoping even in DFS we would have relative confidence if that practice report is favorable.
Well, that's great to hear. That is really, really good news. I feel like for everyone heading into the fantasy football playoffs with Achane, one of the best running backs in the league right now. He's been an anchor for many managers. So Boggs, Jaylen Wright, he had 24 attempts today, 107 yards and a touchdown. Has he taken over Ollie Gordon for the RB2 role in this offense? And if Achane does happen to be out this next week at Pittsburgh, where are you ranking Wright?
Yeah, I'd rank Wright pretty high, right? The Steelers' run defense has been pretty bad. 2 weeks in a row, we saw James Cook run over us, and then Derrick Henry did it again today. So I think I'm going to have Achane pretty high. I assume he's going to play because they did say he could have come back if necessary, but obviously they were up. They didn't need him. So assuming he plays, but Jaylen Wright is now the number 2. It's pretty clear. He was drafted higher as well, banged up coming into the year. Ollie took that job and ran with it, but it seems like it's Jaylen's now.
Okay. Also on the quarterback front, one that we discussed a little bit earlier in the show, New York Jets quarterback Tyrod Taylor. He suffered a groin injury early in the game against Miami. This really screwed a lot of managers, including myself. So Deepak, what did you find out about this injury to Taylor?
Yeah, these come in a wide range of severity. Assuming it's a groin strain, which would be the most common, that averages 2 to 3 weeks. So with the Jets kind of also not really being in contention for anything much, you'd have to wonder if he's going to be able to rush back and really provide much of a boost.
Okay. Boggs, we saw former Missouri quarterback Brady Cook in his first NFL action today. How do you feel about this Jets offense as a whole if it is him under center next week at Jacksonville?
Not great. Jacksonville has been playing really well recently. They stopped the run very well, and Breece Hall is like your only weapon left in New York. So I think it's too much to ask for him to go out perform well in his first start on the road. So I don't want to start many Jets. I'll probably still roll Breece out in a couple spots where I have him. But if I can avoid it, I'm probably going to if it's Brady Cook. Now, we could get Justin Fields back next week as well. So that's obviously way better. Still not good. Obviously, Tyrod Taylor, much better throwing the ball, way better with our guy Adonai Mitchell. So I hope that we get Justin Fields, but it's probably going to be Cook again.
If it's Cook, Boggs, are you out on Mitchell? You're out on Mechie, out on Mason Taylor, really all the pass catching options?
Everybody except Breece Hall. Yeah.
Okay. Deepak, do you know anything about Justin Fields? Like we're hearing, I think it was a sore knee is what he came into this week with. So is that just like fodder for he doesn't want to play or they don't want to play him, or is there actually an injury here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speculate that somebody's faking an injury, but with that being said, a sore knee is not the typical language that they would use to describe that. So I think there's a reasonable chance he comes back. It's just very hard to know.
Okay. So
they may want to take a long look at Brady Cook, give him 3 weeks, 2 weeks even.
I took a long enough look at him in Missouri.
Well, to be fair, his last year in Missouri, he was hurt. He had that ankle injury early.
Sure,
and did not look like the same. But I think he's a third string to backup quarterback. I don't think he is. I think what you get out of Kenny Pickett, you get out of Brady Cook. So.
If it's Fields, Boggs, just in case, would you be inclined to roll out AD Mitchell or Mechie, or are they still kind of like flex plays? Okay.
I don't want to play him. They're too inconsistent right now, and Fields is way too inconsistent as well. So if I can start somebody over those guys, I'm probably doing it.
Okay. Brutal day for the Washington Commanders as well, gentlemen. Quarterback Jayden Daniels, he re-injured his elbow, and their tight end Zach Ertz carted off with a knee injury. He was just absolutely distraught on the sideline as he was getting carted off, shaking his teammates' hands and all that. Deepak, do you have any clarity on what happened here in Minnesota to two of the commies playmakers?
Yeah, so first starting with Daniels, he fell on the left elbow, which was one that had dislocated. The risk of it redislocating or even partially dislocating is higher just because it's not quite as stable as a baseline level. Now, with that being said, the fall itself was relatively routine. It wasn't like somebody landed on him. So it's not an obvious redislocation mechanism. It's just the fact that it's a recently injured joint. I would be pretty surprised if they brought him back next week. To me, it seems like you're not playing for anything and this is your franchise. So I would suspect you keep him out. If not,
was it foolish to play him this week, Deepak?
I mean, it's hard to say foolish without examining him, but I was surprised to see him in general try to come back. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Like you're looking at a player who has a whole career in front of him playing for nothing this year, and you're kind of pushing him to come back from an elbow injury, which is apparently, prone to re-aggravation. So in my opinion, I wouldn't have played him, but I'm not the coach. So
you'd think the franchise that went through RG3 would know better, but
very much so. Not. Yeah. It's surprising overall. And then regarding Zach Ertz, his knee took a really big hyperextension. It would be very surprising if his ACL was not torn. The question in my eyes is, did he tear something else in addition? And there's very possible they'll very likely be getting MRIs starting tomorrow. And then the question for Ertz, he's age 35. This is the same knee that had an ACL and MCL injury about 2 to 3 years ago. So keeping that in mind, the data is not super favorable here. It takes about 11 to 12 months on average to come back from a second ACL tear, if that's all it is. But again, at age 35, a player who is probably on the decline, I would have a hard time suspecting this one's going to be super favorable going forward.
Yeah, that might be the white flag on Zach Ertz's career, which we appreciate everything he did, man. He was a great player too. Like even at Washington, he was very streamable the past couple seasons. And prior to that, like Arizona, he had a nice run, and he was the best fantasy tight end for a couple of seasons out there in Philadelphia. So Zach Ertz, we appreciate you, bud. Get healthy soon, man. You're an absolute stallion of a gentleman. And Deepak, any like long-term concerns for JD Honey, Jayden Daniels out there, or do you think next year, like you're still ranking him as if this never happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think from this elbow, I wouldn't necessarily put any long-term concerns. One, it tends to heal pretty well. Two, it's the type of thing that he would have so much time from. And three, it's his non-throwing side. So all of that bodes pretty well. The real question with Jayden Daniels is he injury prone? And I don't necessarily think that he has some sort of anatomic weak point because all his injuries have been a little bit different. But if you look,
he runs around like a crash test dummy.
Exactly. So he's led the league in hits that he's taken as a quarterback. So, with that in mind, you're going to get more injured, and he's also not huge. So that combination, I think, is the real problem. I'm probably avoiding him in fantasy because if he's going to change his play style, you would think running less, but at the same time, that's what gives him the upside in fantasy. So yeah, I wouldn't change my ranking of him, but personally, I'm kind of not super high on him based on his style.
Okay. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And honestly, that's why I kind of avoided him in Dynasty rookie drafts a year ago. I felt pretty dumb his rookie season when he went out there and just set the world on fire. And then even this year, he was one of my bust candidates in redraft just because of kind of where he was going among the other elite options. Boggs, rest of the way, are you interested in any Washington Commanders players? They're at the Giants, Philadelphia, and Dallas to round it out. So 3 divisional games with Marcus Mariota back under center.
I actually kind of do like some of these guys, but it's the matchups, right? Like It's tough. Like Terry McLaurin played well with Marcus Mariota last week, so I think he'll be okay. I would love to see somebody emerge from the running backs, but it's not going to. So Debo should be okay as well, still like a low wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, borderline type of guy, the way that Washington is playing right now. But the matchups are definitely encouraging, and Marcus Mariota is not going down to Brady Cook, right? So
yeah, good point.
He's not going down to Riley Leonard. Yeah. So he has experience already. So is it a downgrade? Sure, but it's not a massive downgrade like the other guys get.
It's funny when we get to the point in the season where like Marcus Mariota looks like a pretty good starting quarterback across the NFL, right? But
he's always a runner.
Yeah,
so
yeah, absolutely.
You can always give us some upside.
Deepak, a couple more injuries here, specifically to the head area of some players. Dallas Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, he suffered concussion Thursday night against the Detroit Lions. Jacksonville Jaguars rookie running back Bhayshul, he also was out with a concussion against the Colts. Then Pittsburgh Steelers tight end Darnell Washington suffered concussion against the Ravens today. Are you expecting any of these players to be up next week? Maybe CeeDee Lamb because he did have some extra time with that Thursday night football game. Do you think he can maybe clear protocol?
Yeah, that's exactly my thought process. So if you look at the concussion protocol, it takes just over a week on average to get through it. There are some players who come back without missing any games. CeeDee Lamb has those extra 3 days, and reportedly he's been progressing already started through that protocol. So yeah, that if everything goes smoothly, you would get him back this coming game. Now, the other two, the data slightly favors them sitting, and you wouldn't, for any of the 3, expect a dip in production once they do return.
Okay. Boggs, with it being fantasy playoffs, is there anyone you're messing around with that you can add from the Jaguars or from the Steelers if Tuten's out? For me, it just seems like, okay, more targets for DK Metcalf, more targets for Kenneth Gainwell at backfield, and Travis Etienne sit in, forget it the rest of the way if at least Tuten's out next week.
There's no bonuses because of these injuries. Okay. So it's kind of just status quo with them. I mean, Travis Etienne has been great, so he's fine. Don't really like the fact that the Steelers should be down to the 3rd left tackle, it looks like, with no Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
So probably a lot of Anderson playing, fake tight end there a lot.
Sure.
So we'll see.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for us on the injury front, folks. Make sure y'all are following Dr. Deepak Chona at SportMD Analysis on socials and at sportsmedanalytics.com. Deepak, thanks so much for your time today, brother. Anything else you have for us on your way out?
No, that's it, man. Let's get this Texans W and let's keep it rolling.
All right. We appreciate you as always, man. We'll see you back here very, very soon. Boggs and I will also be right back with the top storylines of the week after a quick word from Chris Welsh about the Fantasy Pros Autopilot tool.
Hi, I'm Chris Welsh with a very important public service announcement. Do you suffer from any of the following? Making the wrong lineup decisions every single week. A Brock Bowers late scratch. How about Jaylen Warren playing in London, then it's like super early, that he's not playing? Do you live on the West Coast and being forced into unreasonable 6 a.m. times to check your lineups? If you answered yes to any of those, we've got a solution for you. Fantasy Pros Autopilot. Autopilot can be your hero, whether you struggle with the right decisions, you're super busy, or you just need some saving from that last minute deactivation like the Jaylen Warren in London thing. Here's how Autopilot works. First, you can just swap inactive players. You can set it up where My Playbook will automatically swap out players with suggested lineup changes for inactive players. Or you can turn on full autopilot mode, where My Playbook will automatically submit or suggest the optimal lineup based on the latest expert consensus ranks. Don't let late decisions or even your time zone ruin a fantasy matchup any single week. Work smarter, not harder at fantasypros.com/myplaybook to get started today. Why did I not have autopilot set up for Jaylen Warren?
And before we get to the top storylines of the week, if you want a chance to win a Bijan Robinson and Drake London signed mini helmet for free, that's right, folks, a 2-for-1 special here, courtesy of our friends over at pristineauction.com. All you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form in either A, go ahead and download the free Fantasy Pros app, B, leave a review for the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast, or C, follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok. We are at Fantasy Pros on all those networks. The more actions you complete, the more entries you're going to receive, and we will announce a winner right here on the podcast. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when we have new shows up, and claim your prize if you are that lucky winner. And now, folks, let's go ahead and get into the top 5 storylines of the week. And Boggs, I want to start with a game of playoff trustometer. And we're going to go for the Week 14 heroes and the Week 14 villains. So give me your trust ranking 1 through 10 for the playoffs, starting with these players. First of all, we have T. Higgins, 11 targets, 6 receptions, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns for him today, 27.2 fantasy points back from the concussion. Rest of season schedule, Baltimore, at Miami, and Arizona. 1 through 10 playoff trustometer, T. Higgins.
8. I mean, him with Joe Burrow. I love that Joe Burrow is back. Their defense still sucks, so they're still going to be playing from behind like they were against Buffalo here, keeping him in the game. He even missed a couple snaps after he landed and cracked his head again. And then, Baltimore is a good matchup. We saw DK go nuts today. Miami is not the greatest matchup, but Arizona had been playing well on defense, but got torched by the Rams today. So I think it's a pretty decent schedule here for him as well. So I'm like an 8 on Higgins. He's great.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm probably 10. Like, I don't see any world where you're sitting T. Higgins rest of the way. DK Metcalf, you just mentioned him, 12 targets, 7 receptions, 148 yards for 21.8 fantasy points at Baltimore. Was also getting a lot of end zone looks. It was a really, really good day for Metcalf, and now he has Miami, at Detroit, and at Cleveland to round it out. So 1 through 10 on the playoff trustometer for Metcalf.
Probably like a 7, right? I really love this performance that he had this week. Mm-hmm. Baltimore is weak on that side, but I mean, first play of the game, Seth, you saw it. Deep to DK Metcalf. They want to take those shots, and you need to take those shots early to back off the linebackers to make the run game work a little bit better, specifically with a banged up offensive line. So I do think they're going to keep taking these shots. I think Rodgers has kind of had it with this short dink and dunk game. Yeah. So I think we're going to see more of that. So yes, it's been a disappointing season for DK, and I went on Jake Seeley's show and we took the L on him this week. And then of course he goes crazy. So love to see that. I guess maybe our Juju got him back in the game here, but happy to see DK rocking.
Okay, and Zay Flowers in the same game, 11 targets, 8 receptions, 124 yards for him, scoring 20.6 fantasy points against Pittsburgh. Rest of season schedule for him at Cincinnati, New England, and at Green Bay. Boggs, great day for anyone who managed Flowers because it's been a pretty disappointing stretch really over the past month or two. So where are you at on Flowers rest of the way?
I mean, I like Flowers now that we have Lamar back at 100%, it seems, right? He was running today, 95, 90%, whatever it is. He was great. He ran for a touchdown today. So, he had a big chunk of the season with Cooper Rush, and then he had a big chunk of the season with less than 100% Lamar.
Good point.
So these matchups aren't great, right? Like Cincinnati's awesome, but then you have New England and Green Bay after that, who have not been awesome. So I think same as DK 7-8, somewhere in that range. It's tough to sit a guy who's the number one target on his team.
Sure. And then Kyle Pitts, 10 targets, 6 receptions, 90 yards for the former top 5 overall pick. Scored 15 fantasy points today, Boggs. Rest of the season schedule at Tampa Bay, at Arizona, and then the Rams to close it out. 1 through 10 playoff trustometer on Kyle Pitts.
I mean, how can it be higher than a 5 on Kyle Pitts at any point, right?
Yep.
And the matchups are okay. Going up against Tampa Bay, all right. Arizona's a good matchup. The Rams are a less than average matchup, so it's just okay. They'll probably get Drake London again. I enjoy this good game, but I'm not expecting him to perform like this down the stretch.
Okay, what about Travis Etienne? 20 for 74 and 2 on the ground. 1 reception, 1 target for 8 yards. Good for 21.2 fantasy points against the Colts. He's been one of the best values in drafts this season. Likely no Tuten next week if he doesn't get back from the concussion against the Jets, and then at Denver and at Indy to round it out. 1 through 10, Travis Etienne.
I mean, like a 9. The schedule's not great, right? Indy, but Indy's going to be with Riley Leonard, most likely, or Anthony Richardson. Sure. So I think they should have the ball a lot and run the ball a lot late. Denver's a tough matchup in the middle, but the Jets are the second best team, giving up the second most points to running backs before coming into this week. I think he's going to be fine. So 9 specifically with Tuten out.
Okay, Devin, Neal, 19 for 70 and 1 in replacement of Alvin Kamara yet again. 1 reception, 14 yards, scored 15.4 fantasy points at Tampa Bay. Rest of the season schedule, Carolina, the Jets, and then at Tennessee. So setting up maybe for a nice run for Neal. What do you think on the playoff trustometer?
Yeah, I mean, probably a 6 because if Kamara does come back, what are we doing with Kamara? I guess. Probably like a 6. This schedule is amazing. Carolina giving up the 12th most points. Yeah. Second most. The Jets 7th most for Tennessee. So the schedule is really great. I hope he's just starting still. So if he's starting, I'm trying to find a way to get him in as my flex.
What about Blake Corum? Shout out to our boy D-Bro over on the Sleeper Starts episode. He called Blake Corum as a guy you needed to get in the lineups this week. It came to fruition, 12 for 128 and 2. Also a reception for 3 yards for Blake Corum. Rest of season schedule, Detroit at Seattle, at Atlanta. Like, don't get fooled. Kyren Williams still very much involved on the day, right, Boggs? I mean, this was more of a situation.
They're 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it was true. Like 13 carries for Kyren Williams, 84 yards and a touchdown, a little more action in the receiving game. So do you think this is going back to closer to 50-50 split, which would make sense with what Deepak told us last week when Kyren got a little banged up?
It's going to be a 50-50 split until the playoffs. And they have specifically said this week, yeah, we're trying to hold Kyren Williams and keep him fresh for the playoffs. That's the point of this. And Blake Corum's a great running back, probably just as good as Kyren right now. So yeah, they're both splitting carries. As long as the Rams are in a good matchup, Corum is a good start.
Okay, so you're probably like a 5, like
a 6. Okay, yeah, a little higher than average. Yeah.
Okay. What about RJ Harvey? No timeline for return for J.K. Dobbins. Likely not going to see him the rest of the regular season. 17 for 75 and 1 on the ground. Also 6 receptions for 25 yards. 22 fantasy points for RJ Harvey. That's his back-to-back 20-point game. So the rookie has been sensational as of late. Do you think that continues?
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been outstanding. So, he's getting all of the carries here. They involve Jaleel a little bit. They have more changes in their passing game, though. And the rest of this looks like Green Bay is a tough matchup. Jacksonville is actually this schedule is not great. I didn't look at this one yet, but it's Green Bay, Jacksonville, and Kansas City. And Jacksonville has been surprisingly strong against the run because they're so bad against the pass, really. But so not the best schedule, but RJ Harvey's been humming. So probably like a 7 without Dobbins and probably like a 5 with him.
Okay. Playoff trustometer for the Week 14 villains. These are the folks who really, really let us down in a spot we needed them. Starting at the top, Kenneth Walker III for the Seahawks, 10 for 29 on the ground, 3 targets, 1 reception for -1 yard, 3.8 fantasy points at Atlanta. Walker, rest of season schedule, it looks like this: Indy, Los Angeles Rams, and then at Carolina. Boggs.
Yeah, this is the gross split. This is the bad side of 50-50, right?
Because he doesn't get the goal line.
Yeah, exactly. So he still had more snaps than Sharps, but he just does disappear. So for him, you know, 2 good matchups and 1 bad one, I would assume he's pretty good in the good ones and bad in the bad ones. So let's go with like a 6.
Okay. Breece Hall, 14 for 43, 4.3 fantasy points against Miami. Rest of season schedule for the Jets at Jacksonville, at New Orleans, and then New England to round out the fantasy playoffs.
Like a 4 out of 10. I'm worried, man. Like, you know, Brady Cook, if we're getting Brady Cook for an extended period of time, that's real bad for an already awful offense. So, you know, if you remember what it looked like with Zach Wilson and Mike White and all of those guys a couple years back.
Those are better quarterbacks than Brady Cook, too, by a mile.
They might be. You know, we don't really know what Brady Cook looks like. Give him a week of first-team reps. Maybe he's better than those guys, but it's not going to be by a lot. So, it's tough to start. I don't want to start Breece if I can avoid it.
Here's one that I didn't think we'd be talking about. Emeka Egbuka, 9 targets, 2 receptions, 15 yards, 3.5 fantasy points against the Saints. Rest of season schedule, Atlanta, at Carolina, at Miami. So sets up like it could be a nice run for Egbuka, but Mike Evans might be back next week. We saw Chris Godwin continue to get more and more healthy the last few games. Yeah, and McMillan could be back here. It's been a December timeline all season long. So this was once the odds-on rookie of the year favorite, Bugs, and he has been borderline unplayable for fantasy the last few months. So, like, what do we do with Egbuka? Where's your confidence level on him going into the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, it's low. It's like a 5 right now. Obviously, he can pop up at any time. He had a great first game against Atlanta as well, so I think maybe he could be good there. Carolina is a tough matchup. They've been great against receivers this year, and Miami's been good. We'll see when we get there, though. I don't want to start Egbuka if I can avoid it with Evans coming back.
It's crazy.
So Godwin has been awesome too, and Bucky's back as well. There's one football, right? It could be Egbuka, and maybe Egbuka is better with Mike Evans. Maybe we see that with Mike Evans coming back, right? That's definitely within the cards. I just don't. There's one football. He had 9 targets today and only could catch 2. So it's just been tough sledding for Egbuka. It seems like he's hitting a wall here, rookie wall.
Yeah. Justin Jefferson, 4 targets, 2 receptions, 11 yards, 3.1 fantasy points against Washington. Boggs, this has been so tough, man, because like you have to keep rolling Justin Jefferson out there because he has a 40-point ceiling. We know he does. And J.J. McCarthy even looked better today. The Minnesota Vikings as a whole laid the absolute smackdown on the Commies. And the rest of the season schedule's great, right?
The schedule's great, though. And McCarthy's
Detroit.
back. Right. Listen, I'm not worried about Jefferson down the stretch. He's been awful. I'm not trying to sit here and tell you he's going to be amazing, but we did finally get a good game from McCarthy, right? And these matchups are awesome. And I went back and I looked at McCarthy's like his depth of passes. Yeah. He's fine throwing to the outside of the hash marks. Like he's going to be okay there. So I really love these matchups. He's still Justin Jefferson. I think this is going to get better. So it's positivity for me. It's like a 7 or 8 out of 10. It should be 9 or 8, but we're not quite there because of his bad recent performances. So if we can get this version of McCarthy down the stretch here in these awesome matchups, it could be big for everybody.
Yeah, it looks like Dredis actually went with the popular sabotage drop on Jay Jettas this week in one of her leagues, dropped him, and opponent picked him up and played him against her this week. So good on you, Dredis. I don't have the stones to do that, I don't think, but I really respect that. That is a hustler move out there from Dredis. But I'm with you. Like I'm a 6 or a 7. Like, I still think we have to adjust expectations for Justin Jefferson. He's still wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 at this point, but he still has wide receiver 1 overall upside every single week, right? So I think it's going to be hard pressed to bench him.
Yeah, I mean, look, and you know, he's good these 3 weeks, and he'll be right back to where he was going into this year. So he needs that for his draft stock. So.
What about Tyler Warren? Boggs, 6 for 2, 15 yards, 1 rushing attempt, almost got in the end zone on that rushing attempt, 3.7 fantasy points at Jacksonville, which is a really, really good matchup for tight ends. He now goes to Seattle, another good matchup for opposing tight ends, San Francisco, and then back again with Jacksonville.
Yeah, look, this is we love this schedule, right? Like Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville. This is 4th, 11th, and 6th most points given up to tight end. So What we don't love is Riley Leonard, So I think it has to be a 5 for Tyler Warren. He's probably going to be started because the matchups are so good, but he is very much matchup based right now. Like, would you rather start him or Mark Andrews? It's definitely him. But if Mark Andrews is playing the Bengals, it might be Mark Andrews because the Bengals give up so many yards and points to tie. They did it again today. Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid were both awesome today. So they just ignore the whole middle of the field. They don't care. So it's crazy.
Let's get to our third storyline of the week, Bugs, where Christmas came early for fantasy managers along the shores of Lake Erie. The total for this game between the Browns and Titans, it was set at a measly 33.5 points. I ended up not going with the over on the game, but I went over on the Cleveland Browns team total. That came through for me. 60 total points were scored in this one. Shedeur Sanders, 23 of 42. So not the most efficient day, but 364 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, 3 for 29 and 1 on the ground for 33.5 fantasy points. His main target continues to be Harold Fannin Jr., 11 targets, 8 receptions, 114 yards, and a touchdown for 25.4 fantasy points. The rest of the season schedule for the Browns, Chicago, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. And then Tony Pollard finally does something. It was like the Undertaker gift, right? Insert it right here, man. 25 attempts, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns, 28.6 fantasy points. He's at San Francisco, then against KC, and then against the New Orleans Saints. Does this change anything for you on these players rest of the season? Are you firing them up? And do you feel any different from a dynasty perspective as well?
Man, raise your hand if you started Tony Pollard this week and put it down because you're a liar. Who started Tony Pollard? Come on. I actually
him a lot. Did
have to start him in one league because I had every running back hurt, but it's a league where I'm last place. Like we're rebuilding. So look, Shedeur was awesome. He really was. And but you don't get to play Tennessee every week. But the schedule's pretty good. It's Pittsburgh, who's been miserable against the pass. Chicago, who has been pretty bad against the pass. Buffalo has been good, but they gave up a lot of rushing yards. So I like the schedule for Sanders and Fannin, specifically Fannin. I don't think Shedeur is going to have this type of performance moving forward, but I love that Fannin has now become the number 1 target on this team. And I'll just say straight up, I don't believe a single thing I saw from Tony Pollard today. Maybe this is him coming to full health finally, finding the second gear late in the season, whatever it is. I don't buy it. So I'm going to try to not start Tony Pollard again. Next 2 weeks are not great anyway. It's San Francisco and KC. So championship week is New Orleans. So if he's putting it together, then all right. Maybe we'll run him out there for championship week in a flex spot or if a running back is hurt or something. But I am not buying what we saw today from Tony Pollard. Best career game ever. Not just as a Titan. His best game in his career today. Yes. Okay. So most yards.
He still looked a bit slow on some of those breakaway runs. Did he not? I was like, where is that third or fourth gear for Tony Pollard? I just felt like he was stuck in second a little bit, So
yeah,
it was.
I think he's lost the burst a little bit.
Yeah. So snap call next week: Harold Fannin Jr. against Chicago, or are you going with our boy Tyler Warren at Seattle? If it's Riley Leonard, let's say Riley Leonard under center.
Yeah, give me Fannin. I don't want Riley Leonard. So
okay. Storyline 4 of the week, Boggs, this one that tickles your and I's hearts both. Pittsburgh Steelers, their running backs are set up as league winners. Kenneth Gainwell comes in as the RB23 on the season, scores 16.2 fantasy points. I've said it for a couple weeks now that I actually prefer him over Jaylen Warren because he's kind of playing the Jaylen Warren role from years past where he's getting a lot of pass catching work. He's also getting work in the red zone as well. 4 for 15 and 1 on the ground, 6 for 27 through the air. His 5th game this season with over 6 receptions. Jaylen Warren, meanwhile, RB21 on the year, scored 15.2 fantasy points, 8 for 13 on the ground, 3 for 49, and a great touchdown through the air on the screen pass. Rest of season schedule: Miami, at Detroit, at Cleveland, who just got run on today as well. So who would you rather roster rest of season, and are they borderline must starts for you?
I think it's still Jaylen Warren for me. Okay. But they're splitting down the middle. So I think they're both, they both scored this week as well. They both had a couple big plays. To me, it's probably still Warren. I just think he is the better back. I think he's better, more skilled, but Gainwell's involved and there's some decent matchups here. So Miami hasn't been great. Cleveland has been just okay. We saw what Pollard did today. Detroit's been really good against the run, but God, they're dropping like flies, that whole defense. So Pittsburgh has some decent matchups here as well. So I think they're both okay, and it's pretty much a coin flip at this point. I still lean towards Warren a little bit because I just think he's a better back than Gainwell. So that would be my lean, but they're both startable. This is kind of like Kyron, and this is the Kmart version of Kyron and Blake Corum here.
Oh, I would say this is like, I think this is the best. I think it's like a Sam's Club version. I like it. I like it, man. I'm telling you.
Well, this is like, this is the Dollar Tree. If the Rams offense is high, way up there, the Steelers offense is not. So
that's fair. That's fair. I just think that Gainwell is like, he really is the second option in the receiving game, right? And I think with,
he's made Caleb Johnson, be nothing. Yeah. So, we drafted him to solve this problem, and the free agent that they got, Kenny Gainwell, is way better than him right now.
One more storyline for the week, and it comes with a position we don't usually touch on this show, but the Seattle Seahawks defense/special teams continues to absolutely dominate Boggs. They had scored 37 more points than the next closest defense/special teams coming into this week. They scored 20 more fantasy points today. They are currently the D/ST1 pending Sunday night and Monday Night Football. They had their 6th defensive touchdown today, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, 1 kick block, and 9 points allowed against Atlanta. Their rest of the season scheduled: Indy, the Rams, and Carolina at Carolina. So, Boggs, are you firing them up the rest of the way no matter what, even against the Rams?
The Rams, like maybe if there's somebody else against, look, we might have backup quarterbacks for Indy, for the Jets. Like, we're down to thirds as well here, right? So if we are down to some of those bad teams and they have matchups against good defenses, maybe I would take them over Seattle, but how can you not right now? Seattle is beating everybody, and they're playing Riley Leonard next week against Indy. So this is going to be a massive week for this defense as well. So, look, they had some issues coming in, right? The linebacker spot was huge, but Drake Thomas has done well fitting in there. So is Tyrese Knight. The rotation on the defensive line is gross, and their secondary has improved a lot when they added Nick Emmanwori. So this is a very, very good defense. It's the strength of their team, that in the running game. And, Sam Darnold hasn't been great, but you don't have to be. You just throw the ball up to JSN, he'll make the play. So it's all working right now in Seattle.
My best advice with this defense being so elite right now is if you are going against them next week and they're playing the Indianapolis Colts and it is Riley Leonard under center, Boggs, I would say I very highly suggest you go with a high ceiling lineup, right? Like, floor be danged right now. I think you have to put out, because they could get anywhere from 15 to 30 fantasy points. Like, it is on the table once again for the Seahawks. So
absolutely.
Before we keep it moving, Boggs, real quick reminder to everyone that today's program is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably deep into the stats, injury reports, and of course matchups as well. Put your fantasy football knowledge to the test on Hard Rock Bet. New customers, you can sign up and bet $5 on any game, and if it wins, you will find $150 in bonus bets on top of your winnings, stuffed inside your Christmas stocking. Now, that's what I call holiday magic. Not sure where to place your first bet yet? Just head over to Hard Rock Bet, because they just launched a brand new For You page. Yes, it's easy to find all your favorite teams, your favorite players, and leagues all in just one simple spot. The Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook for whenever you're in the great state of Florida. And it's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and of course, Michigan just recently launched out there for all the Wolverine fans. Coming soon to more states soon as well. Plus, Hard Rock Bet now offers promos every single day. So whenever you're listening, just fire up the app and check out what they've got going on any day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app and make your first deposit today. And folks, let's go ahead and get to the panic meter. Let us know down below who you're panicking about, and we'll rate them on a scale from 1 to 10 about how much we're panicking on them heading into the fantasy football playoffs. 1 means, hey, we're not really panicking at all, and 10 means it's full-blown panic mode. So, Boggs, let's go ahead and start out here. Lamar Jackson, he's the guy I have to ask you about. He's been god-awful for this really, second half stretch of the season. He played really good today, and we talked about the schedule moving forward for them. It's Cincinnati, it's New England, and it's Green Bay. So how do you feel about Lamar Jackson 1 through 10 on the panic meter?
I think this week did a lot to dispel my issues with him. He looked like he could run a little bit. He ran in for a touchdown. He was scrambling a little bit more. Probably should have had that second touchdown to Isaiah Likely. I mean, I'll take it. But looked like he should have had that one. So it looked like in the second half, he really was his regular self. So I'm probably not worried about Lamar that much. It'd be like a 3.
What about Ashton Genty, Boggs? 5.8 fantasy points for him today, just 10 for 30 on the ground, 2 receptions, 8 yards. We saw our boy Kenny Pickett back out there. Geno Smith injured late in that game. It's at Philly, it's at Houston, and then the Giants for week 17. 1 through 10, where are you at on Ashton Genty on the panic meter?
I mean, on the panic meter, I'm like a 7 because this offense looks disgusting right now. And Kenny Pickett is awful. We've seen it before. Aiden O'Connell is awful. We've seen it before. And by the way, Geno Smith's pretty awful as well. So they don't have a good quarterback situation. He's been stopped like 3 weeks in a row. All they're doing is loading up 9 in the box to stop the run because nobody can throw the ball to Brock Bowers. He's the only guy performing for them right now. They need wide receiver help. They need O-line help. They need quarterback help. This is a busted offense. So I like some of those matchups. The Giants one I think is really good. And then is that championship week? And then who they play next week? You said
next week they are going to be. Let me pull that back up for you. Next week the Raiders are going to be playing at Philly, at Houston, and then the Giants to close it out.
Yeah. So Houston's not a good matchup, obviously, but Philly's gotten rocked by the run recently. We'll see what they do tomorrow night. But that doesn't look like a bad matchup either. So that looks nice, but it's matchups, not the way the offense is going. So the way the offense is going is gross. So it's like a 7 out of 10 for me on Ashton Genty.
One more from Nelson, panic meter on Ibuka. You said that, already touched on him a little bit, that you're not highly confident in starting him the rest of the way. So where are you at on the panic meter? I think I'm at a 6 or a 7 at this point.
I think he's going to be a wide receiver 3 for me. So whatever that means for your rankings, right? Starter sit is a difficult question, but you probably want to have 2 guys that are better than him in your lineup. And he is your swing play at this point, and you hope he swings. You don't expect it. So it's pretty high. Yeah, I'd have to say it's like a 7 right now because I got Evans coming back. Maybe McMillan's coming back. Obviously, Bucky is back. So just getting all these weapons back, one football to go around, it's not that much fun.
Okay, and a real quick reminder to everyone as well that you can join our Fantasy Pros Discord community. So much fun over there every single week. You can chat with other fans and actually get access to exclusive AMAs that wind up on our podcast feed. Our current schedule looks like this. We have Worm and Fitz at 5 Eastern on the first Tuesday of every month, and Boggs and Fitz at 5 Eastern on the third Tuesday of every month as well. And then Welsh and Erickson every single Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern time for the remainder of the fantasy football season. Come get your questions answered and be on the show at fantasypros.com/chat. So much fun over there, folks. And if we don't get to your questions here right now, you can drop them below. You can be sure to ask them over in the Discord. We have a ton of AMAs going off from all of our analysts here at Fantasy Pros, as well as just asking the overall community, kind of getting their vibes as well. So go ahead, drop your questions below. We'll try to get to them before we get out of here. And Boggs, first one is coming from our friend CNU. He's got Vidal tomorrow with Hampton possibly playing. I've already got Nico and Woody tonight and need 30 points to win, full PPR. So looks like Jayden Higgins tonight, Vidal tomorrow with Hampton possibly playing. How are you feeling
you got 30 points. Yeah, you got to have 30 points. Yeah, you got Nico and Woody going tonight plus Vidal tomorrow and Higgins?
Yeah.
I think I think you're good to go here. I think you're definitely getting those 30 points. If you don't, that's a big miss.
It looks like he needs Higgins or Vidal. Where would you?
Oh, Vidal for me. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't trust Higgins. Higgins has been getting more snaps, but he's very touchdown dependent. Philly's run defense with no Jalen Carter has been bad, and I do think that you maybe ease Hampton back in. I don't think he gets that full Bucky run like we saw. So I think Vidal is going to have a decent game tomorrow. So I would probably go Vidal there.
Okay. And we talked about Justin Jefferson earlier today from a redraft perspective. I'm seeing Nelson has a couple questions about him. From a dynasty lens, if your trade window is still open and you're pushing for a fantasy football championship, would you still be willing to go out there and maybe buy Justin Jefferson? Because I think, honestly, this is the lowest you're ever going to get him in his entire career.
That's it, man. That's the whole point of buying him now is because he's so incredibly low. Now, people will know that you're in the playoff, so probably going to try to fleece you that way, of course. Yeah. But, I think it is a perfect time to go buy Justin Jefferson. We went over the schedule. It's great. McCarthy looked good. And I went back and looked at just in season. it doesn't seem like he has a problem throwing to the outside. It's probably just matchup based this week. So, I think I'm fine with Justin Jefferson rolling him.
Kind of a 50-foot question here, Boggs. Allie is really concerned that they don't want to draft another wide receiver first overall again after Jamar just hasn't really hit his ceiling outcome this year. You know, you can say it was the injuries to Burrow and then Jake Browning underperforming, Joe Flacco taking a little bit of time to get his feet under him. Are you deterred from drafting wide receivers 1 overall? Because I certainly am not. I just think it's one of those circumstances like, hey, it didn't work out this year, but Jamar Chase has still been a top 15 player overall. So like, it's no sweat to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just specifically when you're picking 1-1, right? Like it's almost impossible for those guys to live up to expectations. So bad year for Jamar Chase. I understand the hesitation. I would say if you don't want to take a wide receiver though, you need to do your KDS, your Kentucky Derby system, or however you work it to try to get towards the back end, right? Because there's going to be running backs back there, and you're going to be able to take one in the second round as well. Running backs are guaranteed more touches on a week-to-week basis. So there's just fewer of them. They're harder to replace. So and in a PPR, they don't score as many points when some of those guys have those huge output weeks. So I'm not deterred at all, but I understand. To me, being deterred is more about the player than the the position.
Yeah. I think it's one of those situations for me, Boggs, where if I'm going running back at the 101 or the 102, I need to have a very, very high confidence level that I'm going to get a good wide receiver back in that second and third turn, right? This year I was all at, JSN. He was kind of my guy on that turn I was after. I got him in a ton of leagues.
Worked out.
Yeah, but then I also took Mike Evans in like the third and fourth round, which did not work out as much. It was him and Devontae Adams. I was kind of trading back and forth in my rankings a lot. So you just really need to have eyes set on your receiver position. Speaking of that, Boggs, last question before we get out of here. Who's your 101 consensus next year?
I was just about to ask you that. It's hard to not say JSN, right? Like, he's been amazing. It's also hard to not say Jonathan Taylor. So I do think
depend on the quarterback situation, I guess, and what happens.
100%. Yeah. Like, if we're gonna get DJ back and this is an Achilles strain, okay. If not, are they going with Anthony Richardson next year as well? Are they signing a veteran? Does Riley Leonard do enough here the last month of the season to endear himself to start while Daniel Jones is down? I just don't believe Daniel Jones will be back week 1. I don't buy it at all, not even a little bit. And even if he is, the rest of those guys that tore their Achilles have looked fairly miserable coming back fast. So I don't like that whole situation. So right now for me, it's probably JSN.
Okay. I also think like Jahmyr Gibbs should be in that conversation.
Of course.
If you wanted to go running back. He's only had 2 games below double-digit PPR points so far this season. It will at least be reasons of Montgomery unless they somehow trade him. So, but he's definitely taken the mantle here, and it just feels like he has the ceiling and he has the floor. He has a little bit of everything you want. So for me, I'm probably JSN. I mean, I'm a JSN guy, so I'd probably go JSN 1. And then looking at it, I'd probably go Gibbs 2, just because I don't know the quarterback situation. I think JT's up in that conversation. McCaffrey's
got to be up there.
Puka and Jamar Chase. I think that's kind of your top 6. Is there anyone maybe I missed out of that top
I mean,
6?
If Jefferson has a huge finish to the season, he'll be right back in that discussion as well. So
I think I think you can get him a little cheaper. I think people are
you really should be able to, but I'm telling you, if he wins people money in the last 3 weeks, like if McCarthy and him are good, he's going to be right back up in that discussion.
True.
So
very, very good point. Boggs, I love looking forward to 2026, but I also enjoy, riding out the rest of this fantasy football playoff stretch. I hope we can continue to help everyone reach their championship and take home that hardware. That is going to do it, though, for us tonight on this episode of the Fantasy Pros Fantasy Football Podcast. Let us know below your favorite fantasy football winners and losers of Week 14 down in the comments below. We want to hear from you. Also, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you're new as well. For Scott Bogman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Thank you.